Remember me, I'm the one who had you, babe.
So we're in the full swing of the World Test Championship final hype now, and I think the biggest story to emerge in the last 2 weeks really is Stuart Broad coming on board the South African coaching staff to assist in their planning and preparation. I've been critical of Cricket South Africa in the past, and I think rightfully so. I felt like former internationals have been given opportunities that they haven't really warranted or earned, and the results have been there for all to see. More specifically, they haven't been there for anyone to see. And I think when you're in a situation where you've got a Gary Kirsten available, that was a no-brainer for Cricket South Africa, and that obviously paid massive dividends. But I think on the balance of play, so to speak, there have been more disappointments from international pros than there have been successes. I think of Jacques Kallis's involvement, for example, a phenomenal and elite test player who wasn't really able to translate his playing excellence to coaching excellence. And that's not a criticism of Kallis. I think we all find our niche at some point or another, and I think if Kallis was honest with himself, he would acknowledge that it's been a difficult transition for him, and he's not alone in struggling to make that transition. But I can't be critical of Broad's appointment to the South African coaching team ahead of the World Test Championship final. I feel like it could be a masterstroke in hindsight. Time will tell, of course. But Broad's involvement, I feel, gives South Africa, who will go into the final heavily reliant on pace, most likely go with a balance that looks like something like Rabada, certainly, Dane Patterson, almost certainly, given his form in the county championship. I think you're likely to see Lungi Ngidi play in the final. Vian Mulder's been a favourite of Shukri Conrad's. And then you've got Corbin Bosch. Have I missed anyone? I don't think so. Marco Jansen, how could I have missed him? He will certainly play. So out of that core, you're probably looking at Mulder, Bosch, and Ngidi competing for 2 places potentially. But I think that Broad's inclusion can only be a boon for those players. As a player, he grinded me. I felt like he was petulant and entitled, but I think my emotion around who I perceived Broad to be as a player never really clouded the clarity that he was an elite test bowler. And I think his record bears testament to that. 604 wickets in 167 tests is elite. And 153 of those wickets came against Australia, which is the most by any test bowler of even any country in history. Furthermore, he's taken 113 wickets in 28 tests at Lords, where the final be held. So if you look at that in totality, this is an excellent appointment from South Africa. I've got to take my hat off to my friend Enoch, who I've been critical of in the past, but salute to the director of cricket and all of the decision makers who've made this happen. From South African perspective, I know we can often be quite patriotic, is that the word? Maybe even a little bit nationalistic. But you've got to be woefully ignorant to criticize an appointment like Broad's. His record speaks for itself. I don't see any way that the likes of Patterson, Mulder, Jansen, any of the fast bowlers that I've mentioned that are in the mix to play in the final can't benefit from Broad being around. And I'm most excited really about his influence on KG. Elite athletes just connect in ways that average athletes can't. And again, it's not a criticism of the rest of the South African bowling attack. There's some phenomenal bowlers in there. But KG and Broad are just on a different plane. And I'm excited about what that partnership could yield. I hope KG humbled himself, because in many ways it could be argued that he's a superior bowler to Broad. I know statistically Broad is better, but there's numerous factors for that, not least of all that South Africa plays significantly less Test cricket than England do. And KG's record has been impacted by that. And so in many ways, it can be argued that KG is a superior bowler to Broad. So I hope that he finds the depth of emotional maturity to humble himself, to be teachable. And I think he will. And I'm excited about what that could yield, because, KG, more than any of the other fast bowlers, could execute on Broad's direction in ways that the others would perhaps struggle to do, or would need more practice and execution to master. So that is a very exciting prospect for me. More so, Broad's record against some key batters in that Australian lineup. So you look at Steve Smith, Usman Khawaja, and Travis Head. All three of them are in the top 10 run scorers in this World Test Championship cycle. And Broad has had good success against them. Steve Smith, he's dismissed 11 times in 49 innings. So, it needs to be made clear that Smith has also had good success against Broad. He averages 53 against him. And so him a little less so, but there's no question that Broad would have some insight into bowling to Steve Smith, who's said to be, again, a key player for Australia. My excitement comes a little bit more in the prospect of Broad's insights into bowling against Khawaja and specifically Travis Head, who I think has become arguably the most game-defining force with the bat in Test cricket in the last 2 years or so. And so he's dismissed Khawaja 8 times in 30 innings. Travis Head is dismissed 7 times in 20 innings. And he averages 19 against Broad with a strike rate of 65. So for anyone that's watched Head play, would know that a strike rate of 65 is completely out of character for him. Nobody really has been able to suppress his influence in similar ways to what Broad has done. And so, Head is the type of player that can really take a game away from you in a session, even less than that. And so to have Broad's insight into bowling against somebody like Travis Head is massive for the Proteas. And I think when you look at the overall picture, again, it's hard to argue against Broad's potentially positive impact on the South African pace attack. And I think we need to get behind him and celebrate him. Celebrate, one, the decision that was made to bring Broad in, particularly in the context of his performance against Australia and at Lords. And in the context of the group of fast bowlers that we have, that in many ways are very similar attributes, different in significant ways, but many similar attributes to what Broad possessed. And I personally look forward to that. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about South Africa going into this World Test Championship final. I think it goes without saying that they are underdogs. But personally, I think that, I think that they're being rated more lowly than they actually should be. If you look at the performances coming into the final, I think those are deserving of some praise and should inform our opinions about how they would do in the final. But let me know what your thoughts are, your opinions are in the comments. and we'll catch up as we get closer to the final. Cheers.